Hi, I'm Amanda Joyce.
And I'm Devin Hayes, and today's topic is mastering the home show circuit for contractors. And here's why
Yay.
you should care. Home shows can be a big investment, so today we want to talk about how to maximize your ROI and keep your pipeline full for that sales team. Welcome to Trade Secrets, where we demystify digital marketing to help contractors get the most bang for their marketing bucks.
This is for you if you're a contractor looking for actionable marketing insights.
Learn from home services industry experts to elevate your business through simplified marketing strategies.
Let's dive into today's trade secret. Okay, so before we kind of dive in and talk about all the secrets and tips we've got for you guys, we figure we should not put the cart before the horse and talk about what a home show is.
Kind of start with the basics. I think a lot of contractors know exactly what it is, but usually, I don't know what they have, like a winter, spring, fall home show. Depends on where you live, but it's just a great kind of opportunity for different contractors and vendors to showcase their products and services, show kind of the latest trends. I don't know, things like that.
Yeah.
I have friends that always, they always go to see how cheap the hot tubs are, but there's typically
And they never get cheaper.
No, well, you think you're getting a deal. They're like, oh, we've got the home show discount for you, the $500 off. Lo and behold, it was actually increased $500 to be. Anyways, tricks. But there's generally it's a great place for contractors to get right in front of their customers, direct to consumer. Kind of targeting. There's homeowners there. They're looking at landscaping. There's always a ton of roofing contractors, solar. I haven't really seen a lot of plumbers there, but
landscapers, pool companies.
Yeah, actually, I did see at the Denver Home Show, there was a plumber that kind of had like the before and after of like a giant hot water heater and then down to like a tankless hot water heater, and kind of showed a really Pinterested out space, like once they've reduced the size and they can make their laundry room dreams come true. So, anyways, it's just a great place for homeowners to kind of have a one-stop shop for all things home and garden. And also spices.
And in theory, most of the people that are attending are like, they're an engaged consumer. Maybe they're there to look at the hot tubs, but they could very well see some cool new appliance or something that they decide they want to invest in. So they're definitely kind of perusing. So it's a great opportunity to maybe catch somebody when maybe they're not there looking for your service, but you might very well be able to kind of pull them in. Or if you're really lucky, they're actually actively there looking for service providers just like yourself.
Yeah, so some of the benefits, we've kind of covered them, but like it is that direct marketing. You're talking to homeowners directly. It's super targeted. Usually you won't go to a home show that isn't in the communities you want to be serving. So direct marketing, you've got your brand awareness, top of mind awareness. It's a great place to actually get some customer feedback and talk to people about, I don't know, like what they're looking for for their homes, or kind of landscaping trends. If they're looking for pavers and, I don't know if they want to have they're going electric, or maybe, EV charger installations. That's kind of a big trend. And if you can push those as an electrician, and those are going like hotcakes, everybody's buying, electric vehicles now. So maybe 10 years ago, a home show wouldn't have been a great fit for you, but maybe it is now. So,
Absolutely.
anyways, yeah.
And I was going to say, the other thing too to keep in mind is maybe you're going to gain some brand awareness with somebody that doesn't want an EV charger today, or doesn't need a roof replacement today, but they maybe have a good conversation with one of your salespeople. And then a year from now, you guys are the first people they're going to look up when it's time to go find that service provider. So it's a great way to talk about brand awareness and put faces with the company, and, just get your team out there and, remind people that you guys are there and waiting in the wings when they're ready to talk to you.
Yeah, kind of build that rapport, build trust. It really helps to have, a knowledgeable salesperson there. But some other benefits, you can connect with other like vendors, other suppliers, other contractors, those networking and building kind of some of those relationships that are mutually beneficial. So it's just overall, it's a great, I would say it's a great investment for contractors. And we'll kind of talk about how to do the math on that to see if it's a great investment. But yeah, so let's with that, let's kind of dive into how to make the most out of these home shows and how to be successful with them, should you decide to kind of go down that path. I guess the first thing we have on our list here is preparing for the show.
Yes.
You don't want to be a week out and go, oh, shoot, what are we going to do? There's a lot of preparation that goes into this in order to come across professional and for it to work for you and not be a waste of time. You don't want to show up with like a table, 2 chairs, and a trifold and expect to have people stop by, talk to you, and become customers.
Yeah, that's a way to feel really embarrassed because people really come and show up at those things and really to find really visual ways to pull people in. We'll go through a whole list of different ways you can do that. But like Devin said, make sure you're prepared. Think ahead. It's going to, depending on the home show and your market, it can be a pretty sizable investment. So you're not done spending once you've written that check for the booth. It's time to make sure that the booth is going to be up to your standard. That's going to really reflect the brand that you've worked so hard to build, and that you're going to have the collateral and everything that you need to make sure that you're pulling people into your funnel and you're not just losing them as they walk away from your booth unimpressed.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing you want to do once you sign up for the booth and you know where you're going to be, if you haven't done the home show before that you're signing up for, corner spots are always great. And this sounds bad, but actually if you can get a booth space like that's by the restroom, like people will walk by, because depending on the size of the home show, you kind of don't want to get lost in the shuffle. If you can talk to the planner and make sure you're like, there's probably always like 6 roofers, I think, at every single one of these home shows, and probably 7 landscapers. But if you can figure out how to like not be right next to one another, that's ideal. So when I'm helping customers kind of plan this out, we're always looking for a spot that's like kind of by the main entrance is great. Obviously, those are more expensive, but kind of little known facts. If you find one by the bathroom, people are going to go by your booth, and then you just kind of have a more extroverted sales guy who's willing to reach out, or gal, and reach out and talk to them and kind of pull them in when they're on their way back out. So kind of the placement of the booth, not getting lost in the shuffle, that would be when you're planning it and making that booth purchase and committing to the home show. Keep that in mind when you're choosing where you want to be. And they usually do a pretty good job not putting like all of your, same competitors in the same row and trying to spread it out, because they want you to get value out of it, because they want you to come back. So step 1, getting your booth space, finding the right spot within the home show. But then phase 2, like the design of your booth and your signage and the planning for that piece, you want to start doing like 3 or 4 months in advance. If you don't already have, a beautiful kind of like backdrop and signage and maybe a TV to hang that will have a slideshow of your work, or a video would be even better running, and just all of those things that it takes to set that up and get going. Most sign companies are where you order trade show booths from. They're really, really helpful. They know kind of the latest trends on like rounded corners or straight corners or this easy thing. They are really helpful. They have graphic designers there. You're going to want to have already invested in some really great photography of your work, because it's a very visual thing when you're walking by a booth. If, like I said, if you just see like a black tablecloth around a 6-foot table versus this huge giant, 12-foot display with all these beautiful images of this before and after landscaping job and things that you've done, who somebody's going to be drawn to and want to speak with. So the designing, getting the booth ordered, the graphics designed, having those professional images taken, planning for a video to be running, like having, a digital screen of some sort, kind of in the background that slides through more of your work is one of those visually appealing things that helps customers kind of stay. They'll see like the before, and then they're going to stand there and pause to see the after. And that's when your sales guys have a chance to like, whoop, swoop in and start that conversation and talk about the project, talk about what they're like staring at on the screen. We're going to get to kind of more how you draw people to your booth, but that's like an easy kind of layup, and you've already done the work. Just you need to show everybody your beautiful work.
When, we recently ordered a booth for ourselves, and I was really glad that we had the foresight to do it several months in advance so that we weren't scrambling. We had time to practice putting the booth together before we ever were on site. Like those kind of things, it sounds a little silly, but a quick dry run to make sure that you're not there day of with 30 minutes to set up and you're like realizing you don't know what piece goes with what. You just having a little bit of that foresight, planning ahead just a little bit will make you much more relaxed going into the actual event and probably enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, and they usually let you, because those home shows are so big, they usually let you come in a day or two, like in advance. But outside of like thinking of the graphics when we're talking about preparing for the show, quantify what success looks like. If you don't quantify what that looks like, your all-in costs, figure out what that is, figure out your average cost of a project or revenue on a project, and then see what that converts to in terms of leads. Like how many leads do you need to convert in order to break even or come out ahead? Because if you don't have that goal set, you might just say, oh, that was a waste of time. But realistically, maybe you got 5 projects. And while that's not a ton, if you only invested, I don't know, say you make $2,000 per project and it all in cost for the home show are $6,000, you need 4 leads to come out ahead. So those 4th and 5th ones are great. Even though it doesn't sound like, oh, I got 25 leads out of the home show. And you very well could, but just having that quantifiable goal and setting that goal for whoever's going to be working the show for you and for you as a business owner to know if it's effective or not. I mean, it's usually it seems intuitive. It seems like most people would already do that and do the math ahead of time, but you really have to think about like the all-in cost in terms of like the booth rental, the like staffing the booth, what goes into like the follow-up in terms of like email marketing, lead capture, giveaways, just the stuff at the booth, like all those things. Figure out what your costs are, and then be able to quantify it in terms of how many leads you need to come out of the show with in order to make sure it's worth it. Because, I've heard this a million times. Like there's sales guys that are like, oh, it's great. I got X amount of leads. And then there's some guys that just complain and it's never enough. But when you back into the math, you really don't need a lot out of these shows, and you get a lot of great brand awareness and brand exposure.
Absolutely.
Just went on a tangent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the next point here. Yeah, yes, it was. Thank you, my ever supportive partner. Okay, so the next point is designing an attractive booth and calling attention to it. So if you have a beautiful booth, but you've got your salespeople sitting back behind a table in chairs, that's not going to do the job. Yeah, just waiting for people to come to them.
Yeah, exactly. You really do just have to think about it, even just how you would want to be approached as a consumer. So yeah, making sure that, and you can't just assume the sales guys know that. Don't even have chairs in your booth to begin with, and make sure that they understand that it's time to be on. It can be exhausting to be on your feet all day and trying to be on, but like the end result, you're all there for one reason, and you might as well make the day worth it. If you're giving up a Saturday with your family, make it worth it. Let's get some touch points out of it and make sure that people understand that you guys truly are experts at what you do. It's also really important to make sure the people you do choose to be in that booth are like your strongest, most shining bright stars of the sales team, of the team in general. It's because at the end of the day, they're going to be who people are going to walk away and remember and associate with your company.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And with that, I mean, we kind of covered, the visuals of it, but something else we haven't covered is the draw. Like, what are you going to do to have people want to come to your booth? There's a ton of ideas, but I've seen, is there a drawing? Is there some giant giveaway that you have? There's a lot of ideas out there. But something to where you can kind of capture their information so that you have like a follow-up point. There's we've seen, my husband's roofing company, they have like this giant, box of charcoal, and it's like, guess how many pounds of charcoal this is. And then people scan a QR code and they put their guess in there, and it has their name, phone number, and email and their guess. And then the giveaway, if they get it right, I think this year they did like a giant arcade game, which you walk by that and you see it and it's like, enter to win this thing. And people are like, oh, what is that? So whatever your giveaway is, if it can capture the eye and be really appealing, that's going to help draw people into, instead of your sales guys being like, hey, come here, hey, come here, hey, come talk to me. So having like this giant, massive box of charcoal, people are like, what is that about? And it had to do with solar and, energy savings, but that's the tie-in. But anyways, it was a great way to attract people to the booth with something interesting, and a great way to start the conversation about solar. So I think that's just an example of, a drawing or an entry, a draw to the booth, which was our original point. But that's a great way to do it.
Absolutely. And to kind of underscore that too, if you have the one singular reason for people to come, that's really important too. You don't want to overwhelm people with too much messaging. You want to figure out what that draw is going to be, get them to come to the booth, have the QR code, driving to a dedicated landing page for that very call to action, and just keep things really simple, but on target. Just like the example you just gave, it very much ties into their business. So you're thinking holistically and strategically about, the messaging that you're going to be delivering at the home show, but also making sure that it's easy and digestible, and you're going to capture someone's attention when you might have 4 or 5 seconds as they're just moseying past your booth to really pull them in.
Yes. And pro tip with that, while you are sitting there talking to someone about, in this example, solar roofing, 9 times, I would say maybe 7 out of 10 times, folks have kids with them. And the kids are going to be the ones pulling them away from the conversation. So having something for the kids to kind of do is ideal. As a mom, I can tell you that when my kid can mess around on a cornhole board at your booth and there's like, I don't know, some fruit snacks or something for them to eat while I talk to you, I will come to your booth to get them the fruit snacks, like over someone that doesn't have anything that kind of distracts my kids while you sell to me. So that's kind of a pro tip. Always think about that, because home shows, there's always a ton of kids there too. There's homeowners, and if you have targeted that demographic that, is homeowners with children, then think of that. Don't overlook the little people, because again, as a mom, I can tell you, if you can keep my kid distracted and happy, I will gladly engage with you. Let's see Absolutely. Here. Oh yeah. And we kind of talked about this a little bit, but capturing the leads while we're there, like using a QR code, or even if it's a short kind of paper form for them to enter a contest, enter a drawing to win something. I would invest in whatever the giveaway is. Like, nobody cares, unfortunately, about like TVs anymore, but what's the trend? Is it a Yeti cooler? Is it a portable like boat soft side Yeti cooler? I don't know. Is it an arcade game? Like, whatever it is, something. Just kind of, I would invest in whatever the giveaway is, and just look at that as kind of a sunk cost, but it'll be part of the draw,
Yeah, and it's exciting too when you do have the cool thing on the showroom floor, that you've got the cool thing that people are like, did you see what they're offering over there? Like, your sales guys will really appreciate it, and it suddenly makes your booth like the place to be, without you having to be out there like performing and doing acrobatics to get people into the booth. It'll really do a lot of the work, the legwork, and the work for you.
Yeah, I did a home show, like, I don't know, years and years ago, but we had a giant board that just had cash, like money hanging off of it. And it was there was like 2 $10 bills under each number, like 1 through 50. And what you had to do, we were giving away reusable bags, and we had 2 bags with the same number. If you found your matching bag partner at the home show and you both came to the booth, then you each got like a $10 or $20 bill, whatever. I think we were doing, maybe it was $5 or $10. But in any case, like, people walk by and they just see this giant board with cash, and they're like, how do I get cash? What's the game here? And then people end up like talking to other people and then they come. So there's all kinds of ways, but just what's something that's like eye catching as they walk by. A giant arcade game, definitely eye catching. A cash board, eye catching. So keep that in mind. Yeah, because you just have, those quick seconds before they're like ignoring your sales guy and pretending they don't see them. And I keep saying guy, but it can obviously be their sales gals too. So I feel bad. I keep catching myself saying that and then I want to correct it, but then I draw attention to it when I correct it. Sorry, world. I'm working on it. Anyways, okay, so and then we definitely talked about how to capture the leads. So QR codes, paper entries. If there's older folks that are like, I don't know how to do QR codes, have your sales team offer to help. Say, oh, well, I got you. What's your name? What's your email? Like, okay, what's your guess? All right, got your entry here. And then that's it. Now you're being even more helpful and more friendly, and they're going to remember your kindness and patience too. So just all around a great way to interact and engage with folks, even if, they don't have the technology you're asking them to, or they're like, I don't know how to do that. Anyways.
Absolutely.
With the drop, like of whatever it is to the booth, like when you choose a winner after the home show, make a big show of it. Like you're going to deliver the arcade, like go to their house, like take, do the photo. And then you have another marketing channel. You have more, that kind of organic, genuine, exciting content that actually gets engaged with on social media. So don't forget to capture those moments on video, photo. There we go. Didn't lose it.
Yeah. And exactly. And in most cases, someone's going to be so stoked you just did that. They're going to more than happily comment and share, and it can very organically have a positive impact on your business socially. So that's a great point.
Put it in your newsletter. Like, it's nice to show real winners. So, and not that you're just like saying that you're giving it away, and you're just really demonstrating and building trust within the community. There. Okay. I didn't lose it. All right. We've talked about showcasing your work. We've talked about displaying it, having it on like a TV screen, those before and afters, making them part of the booth background. Those big visuals are, they're great selling points. They show your quality of work.
Absolutely. And even if you feel like maybe, if your service offering isn't as exciting as a pool builder or something, it still doesn't mean you can't come up with ways to really to show that. Kind of your example earlier too, when you were even talking about the big old rusty hot water heater and then the nice small tankless water heater and all the space it suddenly created for a beautiful laundry room. Just think about that. Like what's at the end of the day, what's a homeowner going to see that they're going to be drawn in and suddenly make plumbing and water heaters exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, okay, so we've kind of talked the show itself into the ground. Our next point here is, what to do after the show, because just because the show's over doesn't mean your opportunity for conversions is over. So
it's really just beginning at that point, honestly. So first of all, you're going to ideally with that QR code and whatever people have submitted, you're going to have a litany of new emails, even if maybe they weren't all warm leads. Maybe they just stopped by because they wanted to enter to win the giant prize. Make sure you're immediately adding them to your newsletter so that they're going to continue to hear from you moving forward. That's going to be a really big one for you. And the sales guys in general need to be following up with absolutely everyone that they spoke with, especially anyone that seemed like they were a warm lead. And another thing that I always like to remind people of as well is we want to make sure that if you do, for that landing page, have a remarketing pixel on that moving into the show so you can run ads as well to just continue to keep your brand top of mind to anyone that hit that page. Then you can get in front of them over the next few weeks with some ad creative to remind them of your brand, remind them of maybe another offer, a downloadable, something to pull them back in. That's a really great way to continue to take advantage of that momentum that you created at the home show.
Yes. And when you are capturing emails and you're say you go through with the idea of like QR code takes them to a landing page where they submit their guess for a contest, on there you can have a drop down of like services they're interested in, and then you can segment them and target them very specifically if they answer it. And you can have, say, nothing at this time. You're not going to force them into saying they're interested in something that they're not interested in, but then you can segment them. And, the follow-up email, that first one after the show that shows the winner of the contest. Well, the first one that says, well, I guess, yeah, that would just be it, emailing, the winner and letting everyone else know who entered, who the winner is. That's a first touch point, because they're going to open that email. So then, it's a good email address. It's verified because they want to know if they won. So anyway, you have that initial email that goes out, but then again, like Amanda was talking about, just kind of segmenting the audience and really, really keeping that contact like in your newsletter list so that they have that top of mind awareness month over month when you're sending out a newsletter. And if they checked a box that said they're interested in, I don't know, like pavers specifically, then when you have maybe a blog or I don't know, something specific about that, you can email them and know that would be an engaged user.
Absolutely.
All right. Not last, common mistakes to avoid. All right.
Yes.
We've run down what you should do, so you can probably kind of figure out what you should not do, but these ones are like quick and easy bullet points. Amanda.
Sitting down. Absolutely not. No sitting down. I know we hit on that earlier. No sitting down. Not having a draw to your booth of any sort. Not having something to engage the kids. Not having enough staff or knowledgeable staff on hand. You definitely don't want a line of people wanting to chat about your offer or about your services. You need to make sure that there's man-on-man defense plus an extra at all times. Having that professional look, which we talked about with, getting that booth created well in advance and making sure that it really reflects your brand. Not capturing customers' information. Do not waste that opportunity to get those people to complete that, to follow the QR code or provide you information one way or the other. Not having enough of whatever you are offering. If you do have some treats on the table for kids or, anything like that, make sure you have more than enough. You do not want to be running out towards the end of the day. And not maximizing that time on the floor. Make sure that your booth is set up well in advance of the beginning of the show. Make sure that you're staying there until the bitter end, even if things are really thinning out. You don't want to miss that last person that's maybe been looking for you on the showroom floor all day, and they finally found your booth and find that you guys aren't there anymore. And
I was going to say, I don't think I have it on here, but something else is, having a great handout. Not if you don't have a great handout and you have someone who's like running out the door because maybe their kid is screaming and they've got to go. Maybe they are looking for your services, but they need something to take with them.
Tangible. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether that is, like a postcard or a trifold or a handout, something attractive that has your brand, big and loud, and an easy way for them to contact you. If it had the landing page specifically generated for the home show, even better. But yeah, having something they can take with them in case they don't have time to talk to you. They're flying out the door, but they do want to learn about your services, or maybe they go through the reusable bag that everybody gets when they walk through the home show door. Maybe they start going through their flyers and then they look at you. And even if they don't call you, again, you've got that brand exposure. And if you've done your job in marketing, you have some really good visual images that maybe will stick out to them and remind them of you when they are ready to purchase.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about our actionable takeaways from today. So
yes,
absolutely. First, do the math. Quantify what success looks like before you even start on this whole venture. Have a clear, fun, singular call to action, whatever it may be. That doesn't include, you can have the on the side call to action for the kids, but the one clear call to action for the people that are going to be spending money with you. Make sure that you've selected something that's really enticing. Man the booth with knowledgeable, personable sales staff. Don't put those chairs in the booth. And don't forget the kids.
Don't forget the kids. And don't forget the pets. You could do like little treats.
Love it.
A little pro tip. I don't know. Okay, so that's it. So as always, thank you so much for listening. And if you know anyone else that might be interested, feel free to share our podcast with them. We appreciate
and if you have any pro tips about what you've done at a trade show that you found really successful, we'd love to hear from you. Throw us a comment.
Yes. All right. Thank you. That is it for this edition of Trade Secrets.
That was today's trade secret. Thanks for listening.
Did you find this helpful? We're just getting started.
Subscribe and don't miss our next reveal.
Until next time.